Man, I'm excited for you to be here. So, Emmanuel Rivera, and I can't pronounce probably the proper way to say it. I try. I botch his every time I try to.
Yeah. It's probably a little harder, but
so Emmanuel, thanks for coming in. You're with the Come Up Foundation, and you're friends with Abel. Known him for a decent amount of time, right? Have you guys worked together, or how did you guys meet?
yeah. So actually, Abel and his whole family—they're basically like an extended family. We say that we're cousins, but yeah, we're not really related. But you know how that is, right? So we were all living in Chicago, and my mom and his mom were best friends. So when we moved to Oklahoma, they also came down here as well. So yeah, we've known each other since we were in diapers, really.
Yeah,
So
literally forever.
It's almost like you and Chance.
Yeah, right.
Which, speaking of the devil,
Well, he's sick today.
It's okay.
That's all
He's
right. We
sick.
got an awesome super sub here.
yeah, okay.
I'll fill in.
Okay, so
For
usually Chance is there. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
I was wondering.
Yeah.
I was like,
I'm
where's
usually
Chance
back here.
sit? Because
Yeah,
he doesn't
you're-
look like Chance.
Yeah, Devin's usually behind the camera. He's manning the
He's on the camera today, boy.
today.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, I'll chime in every now and again, probably.
So today's podcast, we're going to go through discipline and determination, and hear about Emmanuel's journey with the Come Up Kids. And let's start with like a little bit about your story and why, who, how, and take us on a road trip.
So again, I'm from Chicago. That's how me and Abel know each other. But you know, in Chicago, it's a dangerous place. So my parents and his parents all kind of decided at the same time. I think it was within like 6 months or something like
It was
that.
quick.
It was quick.
I mean,
like
it
we
was
moved
quick.
and they moved down here. So
To
and we were
middle
happy
of
because
nowhere.
you know they were our extended family. You know, so we grew up with all of them. So anyways, moved to Henrietta, Oklahoma, very small town. You know, you go from Southside Chicago to a town with 6,000 people. Big culture shock. We were the only Spanish-speaking Hispanics in town as well. So, again, coming from basically a Hispanic community and neighborhoods. I mean, so it was a big change. But now I know it's for the better. But in Henrietta, I still got in trouble for some reason. And once senior year, I was living on my own, and I didn't really go to school at all because I was living on my own. So the principal called me and he said, if you finish these last 30 days, I will graduate you. And he was a former coach, football coach. So that's how we knew each other. So I did it, graduated. And as soon as I graduated, I left for a magazine crew. Door-to-door sales. Have you guys ever done
I've
door-to-door?
been there. ADT, baby.
I love hearing about it. Oh, what is it? What'd you have?
ADT.
Oh,
the
ADT.
security system.
Yeah.
Everyone's done door-to-door sales for something like that, I swear.
It is the best sales course you can take, though, right? I mean, just going door to door, especially nowadays. I don't want people knocking on my door. You know what I mean? Usually you call or, you know.
Now you get shot.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And back in the day, you know, it was a little more norm to knock on your door. So it's probably more brutal now, but
About
still
as
brutal.
normal as those cold calls now.
Yeah.
Those emails.
Yeah, it's worse than that. So I saw this ad on a magazine or in the newspaper, and they would pay for everything, to the bus to get down to Seattle. So of course I was like, this is my way out, right, out of this little town. So took the bus. On the way up there, I met some people my age that had just gotten ditched by magazine crews. And I was like, that won't happen to me, right? So I finished going to Seattle, get there. They would drop us off neighborhoods 12 hours a day, right? They drop you off, come back 12 hours later to come get you. And 2 weeks later, we woke up and the owners had taken all the cash. So there was about 6 of us in this one hotel room, and we all got our money together, got a ticket to Portland, Oregon, and went to Portland and started doing whatever we had to do to survive. So even a girl even had to stay the night with a guy that she knew there, and her boyfriend was in our group. And I remember the boyfriend just pacing and being pissed off, obviously. So, but, you know, she got us some stuff to be able to go sell, to be able to make money. So long story short, little by little, everyone started kind of going back home, right? Because it was kind of an impossible ending here. We're trying to just make it day to day. And I called my mom, didn't tell her what was going on. I just told her that I wasn't having fun doing this magazine shit. So she was dating a lawyer at the time. So I asked the lawyer, I said, give me a ticket to Vegas. And so he got me a ticket to Vegas. I went out to Vegas and started, you know, working and partying, really. and eventually ended up moving back to Tulsa, and then went up to the city. So that's how I ended up in the city. That's obviously a short term version.
So is that kind of where you came up with the come up kids?
Yeah. Because the come up stands for leveling up. It stands for coming up in life. It stands for taking it to the next level, right? So that's what we do at the Come Up Foundation. I'm not trying to create fighters. That's the whole thing. Although the martial arts, subject behind it is kind of to get the kids in, right? Every little boy wants to be tough, and every little girl should train, in my opinion. So that's what we do. But we really try to create leaders, right, and good citizens. We have an anti-bullying curriculum created by professionals. We have a leadership curriculum created by professionals. And we go over that every single class. Although we do teach high-level mixed martial arts, right? We have my coach, Carl Belford. He's a world champion wrestler, national champion wrestler, 25-time state champion wrestler. And he's the one who got my wrestling to the level where it needed to be. Because in Oklahoma, wrestling is fucking prominent. I mean, every person I fought had a wrestling background.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
And if you're just decent at wrestling, it translates over well to mixed martial arts. And that's why I was asking you if you were a wrestler. I mean, you're built like a wrestler.
Yeah.
And so because wrestling translates over to jiu-jitsu so well. So, yeah.
Gotcha.
So I want to touch in a little bit. The Come Up Foundation. Now, that's not where you started. This is a relatively recent foundation that you've started. How did that come about, and why did you decide to? And we said a little bit earlier, like you decided to basically let go of everything else and just focus on this. What life change, or why did you decide to do that? I asked that question because we're all growing and slowly evolving, and I know as we get older and as we say at work, as life kicks you down and basically gives you those punches, you decide, if you want to stand back up, keep moving or not. But you also, as a man, start thinking like, what? Like, I got kids, I got a family, but what am I really leaving behind? What am I really doing? Like, yeah, I can protect and I can provide for my family, but it's bigger than just my family. Like here, you're impacting kids that could impact more kids. Like, you're changing lives entirely. It's not just focused on just your household. So, like, what was that transition? Because, as I mentioned to them before you got here, like, there was a period there where, dude, I was just watching you. You're just moving. You're doing all these movements, going to rest. Doing the MMA. Once it saw you get a fight. I believe you had a heart issue, right?
Mm-hmm,
that made you stop fighting, and all these things. And then now you're doing training, coaching. You're on the radio. Like, how did that happen from selling magazines? Yeah,
I mean, everything has a journey. So you're right. I mean, when I first moved to Tulsa, well, let's go back to Vegas. In Vegas, I started doing backyard boxing, and before that in Henrietta, we were doing boxing with our cousins and uncles.
Just like chicken fights?
Yeah, kind of, with gloves and alcohol as well. But so I started realizing that I may have a skill, because I was never athletic in school. I mean, I sucked at basketball, football. I tried tennis. I tried track. I wasn't strong enough, fast enough, quick enough.
Did you try wrestling?
Yes, but I was too lazy, and that's my brother wrestled. Omar wrestled, so I was way too lazy in high school. You know what I mean? So that's where MMA taught me discipline and all these other things. So I started again backyard boxing in Vegas, but so I was the guy known as the working guy. I'd go work all day. I worked at a retail store, and I met like Floyd Mayweather. I met like R. Kelly and people like that. And so I would come home, and the house I was living in with a friend of mine that I met in Vegas was a party house. So ecstasy, I mean, you name it, it's there. And I was just not into the drugs anymore at the time, because during the magazine crew, all that, that's all I was doing to make it 12 hours, right? So so then we started doing backyard boxing, and we started having bets. So I wouldn't say anything. My friend would set it all up. We'd have a party. We'd get the biggest guy, and we kind of act like we didn't know who was fighting, but they were going to pick me, and I was small. So they're, of course, they're unassuming, and they're thinking that let's put the money on the big guy. And we just made money that way. I'd come home from work, and that's how we make money. So then I started figuring out that I may have a skill here, but I was like, I'm not athletic though. Went to Tulsa, started training, fell in love with it. I mean, so much so that I was doing real estate and all I can think about was fighting. I mean, I was just looking up fighting, wasn't even working, right? So I was like, man, I gotta move. I gotta get some better training and step this up. I feel like I could do this. So I came to Oklahoma City and started training for real. Started getting high level training from people that that actually have experience in MMA. Because there's people out there that they do karate, that and no disrespect for any of those, but it's not going to translate well in a real life situation. So Oklahoma City really had a lot of great trainers, and I started training here and been doing it for almost 15 years now. So that's kind of how that started. But as I was fighting, I joined a nonprofit where they would go to schools and churches and offer dance. So like salsa, merengue, stuff like that. So I got into that because I just like kids, right? And I didn't have kids of my own at the time. So we started working with elementary schools and these underserved, communities. And I fell in love with doing that. So we tried to do life change boxing at the time, which now is a come up, but it didn't take well because fighting wasn't mainstream. Mm-hmm. So people thought, oh, you teach a bully how to fight, he's going to go fight more, right? And actually opposite happens because there's a lot of qualities that come with the training, like discipline, like, respect, like patience, right? Knowing that you can get through hard stuff and push through and make it to the end of the light of the tunnel. So I started thinking, well, I love doing Life Change Ballroom, and that was awesome. But because of COVID, they stopped doing it. And I had businesses that I had just sold, and I just started thinking, like you said, what do you want to do in life? Do you want to leave something? Do you want to leave a presence? And the only way I know how is doing that is through martial arts. So we started doing it. I got a guy that he's one of our biggest benefactors. And he went through the martial arts program with me as a private trainer and lost 160 pounds.
Wow.
But that wasn't the most important thing. The mental part, the mental strength that you get and the confidence you get from martial arts, that was the biggest win for him. And he saw that. So he's in the political business and, so he really helped me jumpstart this program and really get it out there. So that's kind of how that happened.
Do you work with any organizations like foster kids or organizations like that?
Yeah, we have. We're at Pepper's Ranch. Is all foster kids. Foster kids. It's a foster community.
I would assume that would be a really good demographic for your organization to work with. I mean, and you could somehow relate to how tough it is to grow up. Almost kind of feeling alone or whatever, right? Like,
yeah. It was more me being a little too independent. Also, my mom and them were there. My dad maybe not, but my mom was there for me. But I was just always independent guy, so I kind of
I got you.
Yeah. But what was the question you asked?
Do you work with those kind of organizations?
Yes. So Pepper's Ranch is again a foster community. It's this guy that has his ranch basically, and he built 30-something houses up there. Each one is like 5,000 square feet, and the parents, or I should say, the couple. They can move in and take up to 8 foster kids each home, and they only charge them $250 a month in rent. Yeah.
Wow!
I mean, amazing community,
that
amazing,
is awesome.
But that gives me chills. But it's in Guthrie, Oklahoma City.
Yeah, that just gave me chills for
right
sure.
outside of Oklahoma City. But there's another place too that we go to called Positives Tomorrow, and it's all homeless kids. I mean, just an amazing. They just moved to this state-of-the-art facility about 3 years ago, but this facility is just insane, amazing. You wouldn't ever think that there's kids
here in
there.
Tulsa?
No, that's in Oklahoma City as well.
Oklahoma City, okay.
Yeah, so I haven't came to Tulsa yet. That's my next plan. So I actually had investors. We already met with investors here in Tulsa. But I was telling him, I want to have a perfect system. Right, we're in about 10 to 12 different locations in the city right now. I want to have a perfect system with perfect structure before I start implementing it into different cities, right? Because I'm gonna have to hire martial artists, right, young martial artists that that have not just martial arts skills, right? They have to be teaching skills, coaching skills. You're talking being good with kids, being trustworthy. I mean, it's hard.
They have to be real leaders.
Absolutely,
Right.
real leaders, and everyone is background checked. Everyone is vetted, thoroughly. So we are also Safe Sport certified. So everyone goes through the Safe Sport certification that the Olympics go through, basically. So everyone has to take these tests. So I want to make sure that we don't have, I don't want to have to whoop somebody's ass. No, but that's the other side of what I do, is really watching out for people like that they see a pool of an opportunity here. And most people that offend don't have a background. So I'm just so, careful about that.
How does your organization come up with, or how do you address the challenges with like addiction and obesity and some points like that?
Yeah, we have a dietitian that we work with. So we have meal plans. We have lessons on calories and sugars and good carbs and bad carbs. We also work with Red Rock, which is an organization that helps people.
Restaurant?
No. Yeah, Red Rock, the restaurant. I want some whole chickens. No,
But
but
feed some steaks to these kids.
exactly. No, Red Rock is basically for kids that are addicted. And so we're part of their program where they send kids to us and then they pay us for each kid. So it's pretty cool. They really set us up, nicely to be able to get compensated, because we do not charge the kids anything. We provide gloves, shin guards, the hand wraps, mouthpieces, rides at times.
Travel? Rides?
Yes, absolutely. I've never had an SUV, and I just bought an SUV with the third row so I can take these kids.
I was going to ask you about that because I noticed that whenever I saw your ladders there, I was like, damn,
Yeah, I just
why
got
does
a
he need
nice
that?
van, basically.
Yeah, I was like,
yeah.
why does he need that? I was like, okay, that's cool.
Right.
That makes
Yep.
sense.
That's
That makes
exactly
sense.
why. So next thing is getting a bus. I mean, we're at the point where we can use a bus right now, but I got to get. I'm a year and a half in, and we're serving over 100 kids right now, and we can use a bus, but little by little, right? Baby steps. So we're trying to get there.
Have you thought of, or do you already work with the Family and Children Services here in Tulsa?
No, so we had some serious talks with investors here, people that are big in the Hispanic community, and we were really just set to do it. But I pulled the plug on that, or postponed it, I should say, because I want to, again, get the structure and all that correctly. Yeah, because it's just me up there. My sister helps me. She's my assistant. And then I have Carl, which is the wrestler that I told you about. He's my program director. And then we have Fount, which is a benefactor. So there's 4 of us, but I'm handling most of it. My sister helps me a lot. So I just want to make sure to be able to, again, not expand too quick.
Yeah.
Because that's my biggest goal, is get Oklahoma City perfect as possible, and then take that structure, implement it in Tulsa. That way I'm ready, and there's less hiccups, I should say,
right.
rather, because
And
there's
you're
never no hiccups.
Right, and you're making an impact on these kids' lives. So obviously, and I hate to say it, but as business owners, we know that we're constantly evolving and changing and trying to improve our businesses. And it's one thing and Devin, I hate to use you an example here, bro, but as your brother, you might be working for you or whoever. It's like, you're an adult, and if we can make some changes and it affects you in some way, shape, or form, you're capable and fully aware to be able to talk to us and be able to communicate that, whereas these kids aren't maybe set up in that way. So in that form, you're like, you're right. You want to get that process set up so you can make that impact, correctly to each one of those kids, because that little tweak that might need to happen or may, like you said, fall off the tracks moving to Tulsa, that could make a huge impact in a kid's lives that as an adult, we're better equipped to handle with that. And it may not be a whole lot, but sometimes it's those little tiny things that make the world a difference. And especially in the kids' lives, like, I know we can all think of times growing up where you're like, man, wasn't necessarily like the worst, but that was a life-changing event for some reason, and it could be just literally being part of the come up. That was like, man, that changed my life. That was everything. And then they'll, I'm sure it'll come back and they'll start, being a part of the group and expanding that themselves.
Yeah, I mean, the best thing about this is for sure the gratification you get from the kids. I have a group message where I get all the advanced kids. We have an advanced class that's invite only. So the kids have to be consistent for at least 3 months. at the location that we start, whether it's a school, a church, or a community center. Once they're consistent and I see that they have a passion for it, then they get invited to the advanced class, which is at an actual mixed martial arts gym. Because you got to think, we take this program to the PE classes, we take it to the church gyms, we take it to the community centers where we just doing it in the lobby or whatever. All I need is space, and I bring gloves and all the equipment. So now you kind of earn to be in an actual mixed martial arts gym. We're looking to get a home gym this year is my plan, and get my van and all that. But again, little by little, because we have enough kids on the advanced class now where I'm not trying to create fighters, but these kids, you fall in love with it and you start seeing that you have a talent, and I know what they're going through. They want to spar all the time. I have to stop that. There's no reason for you to spar all the time. There's no reason for you to, so it's, in this game, back in the day, we used to think training was sparring. When you first started, when the sport was adolescent, is, you think I'm just going to spar with the small gloves and that's my training, right? You don't get your brain cells back, right? So if you're sitting here getting attacked and getting hit, your head, your brain's shaking. And I explain these to kids because when you start, all you want to do is spar. That's like playing the pickup game in basketball. That's a reward, right? So like I said, these kids are so ready to a few of them will say, I want to be world champion. I mean, these kids, all from the same neighborhood in this area. It's just amazing to see the camaraderie that they have with each other. They're pushing each other. It's amazing. I have to show y'all some videos, but it's cool how they're just always making sure that each other is finishing what they started. So it's really cool.
That's awesome.
What year did you establish the business or the nonprofit?
So that was in 22. Yep. Okay. So that would have been in July of 22.
Get into the nitty gritty of it. Where does the income come from for the business in order for you guys to be able to do what you do?
That's the worst part about it is I love teaching. I love dealing with the kids and making sure that they're growing. And then on the other side, I have to go and fundraise.
Sometimes people think that a nonprofit doesn't need income. Right. Like, where's all your donations go? Like, can't you just give?
Right.
Like, can't you just do because there's software, there's banking fees or whatever, the profit has its own expenses, just like a business. The only difference is like the money that's, contributed to it is only supposed to cover the bare minimum expenses that's needed to fulfill the organization's mission and vision.
Absolutely.
Right. Anything left over goes against just recycled.
Absolutely. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. It's not supposed to go back into your pocket.
Right.
It's not supposed to go out and buy a jet.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. So, I have a benefactor that has committed to me to be able to do this full time, and then we go out.
That must be nice.
Yeah, no, it's great because I was doing too many things, and he's the one that went through the whole program, so he knows what this can do. So he said, "I'm gonna take care of you. You just go out there and grow this program." So now we've gone to other investors, friends, family. We had for the political consultant that I'm telling you about, we had a roast for him. So we did a comedy roast. We had the mayor there. We had all the politicals there. I'll send you a video of it, but I was the first one up, and it was amazing. I'm a big comedy fan, so I'm a big roast fan. And in the Hispanic community, it's roast with your cousins and uncles, and so
we're all thick-skinned.
Absolutely. I can give it, and I can take it. You know what I mean? That's the way it should be. But it was an amazing night, and we raised 6 figures that night. So it was awesome. Yeah, it was really, really cool.
That's awesome. What has been the most significant? This is another thought I've had. What's the most significant challenge that you've had since you started?
It's the fundraising. It is. Yeah.
It's financial.
Absolutely. Yeah. Even though we had a great one that evening, like you said, it all goes. We gotta buy equipment. We gotta buy, legal fees. We have, there's so many things that people don't see behind the scenes. So,
how are you trying to overcome that?
Now, so in the nonprofit
you're
world,
the director role,
I'm executive director. So in the nonprofit world, you can get grants, but you have to typically show history about 3 years. So I'm halfway there. So along the way, I've had fight promotions that are, my friends are promoters and stuff. So they reached out to me at the beginning and was able to fundraise and, a few $1,000s here and there just to be able to get equipment. Because my time at first, I was like, it's just my time. I'm just going to go, whatever. But then I had this benefactor say, get rid of everything you have going on.
Yeah.
Let's get you to do this full time, and I'll take care of you so you can make a living. And of course, I'm like, wow, this is amazing. It's a passion of mine to be able to give back to the community. And this guy telling me that I can sell everything, get rid of everything, and he'll take care of me. So that was a blessing in itself to be able to really, and that's why we've grown so fast too, because I can focus 100% on it, right? And a lot of people, the MMA community everywhere really. I know a lot of guys here that are mixed martial artists as well, but Oklahoma City has really opened their arms and embraced us by volunteering, by telling us we can use their gym, all these things, so it's been such an amazing journey, really.
Do you know who Alfred Walker is? Goes by Freight Train?
Yeah, my first MMA fight, I fought him.
Okay. I'm not going to act like I know him, but I know of him.
Yeah.
I actually know of him through Dorian about 2 to 3 years ago now with Brown Shoe Fit. We used to work with him. And so I kind of know him through him.
Yeah.
But I didn't know if you knew of him. I know he does some things every now and again where he works with kids. Kind of does the same thing, it sounds like. But I think
Dorian
it's just kind of
does?
himself. No, not Dorian
Alfred
himself.
Walker.
Alfred Walker.
Oh.
He goes by Freight Train. He does.
Oh, yeah. That's
Yeah.
right. I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm supposed to talk
I've
to
seen it
him
back
actually.
on social media now,
Yeah,
too,
okay.
by the way.
I had just got done doing a boxing tournament, and they offered me an MMA fight, and I was like, MMA, and it was like in a week, and I was feeling confident because I just won a boxing tournament, so I was like, I'll do it, and he would just take me down anytime he wanted, and I lost a decision, but that was it was in a basketball court at a church, or not a church, or some kind of recreational gym or something. So it was very, very low level. But yeah, he a good guy, man. Yeah, we keep in touch and we talk still. So
cool.
yeah.
Is there any times you've really been humbled?
Oh yeah, in the gym all the time. All
You're
the
just
time.
like, damn, okay.
All the time. I get guys that are very skilled. They're his size. And my skill. If you get even skills and you got a guy that weighs more, then there's not much you can do. You know what I mean? So you get humbled. That's the beautiful thing about martial arts, though, is check your ego at the door, because if not, you'll get checked inside.
Well,
on the mat.
Absolutely.
And I think that kind of goes to the same thing as you. We were talking, 2 days ago, right, over the phone, and you're like, hey, does it ever cross your mind that, there's always someone bigger than you? And I was like, yeah, I kind of take peace in that.
You'll never be the biggest.
I'm okay with that
You'll never
because
be the biggest or the
because
baddest
what did
or
I
the
say?
largest,
Because
like,
in
yeah,
that
doesn't
moment, I was like, well, yeah, but as a little guy, I can make a small change, a small failure, and nobody's there criticizing me, and that's okay. I don't need the fame. I don't want. What'd you say? If Coca-Cola makes a mistake, everybody's watching. But if we make, nobody cares.
Right.
I take comfort in knowing that you can always be humbled. I mean, in business and life, everything. That's okay, and that should happen. That really should, because sometimes, sometimes we need it. Just plain and simple.
Absolutely.
Sometimes you
Everybody
need it.
needs to be humbled, in my opinion. You know what I
yeah.
mean? So it's good for you. It's great for you. No matter who you are, it's great to be humbled and taking you from, that when I fought Alfred, I was on my high horse. I had just got done, knocking out everybody in this tournament. I was like, I got this. And then I'm like, oh, wrestling. I see what's going on here. So then that's when I fell in love with it. Because of that fight, I didn't plan on doing MMA. I was just like, fuck it, I'll do it. It's a week from now. And that's what got me to fall in love with it. So I was like, if I ever run into a pure wrestler outside of here, he's going to whoop my ass. It don't matter how good your hands are. So that's why I got into it.
Made you realize you're like, I got to up my game
100%.
if I'm going to compete.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a boxer against a kickboxer wins. He has more weapons. If you're a kickboxer against a wrestler wins because of the ground game, right? Jiu-jitsu practitioner takes on a wrestler, jiu-jitsu wins. It's just, so learn all of it, right? Bruce Lee, grandfather of MMA, right? He started it. He was way ahead of his time. He was training other things like jiu-jitsu and Western boxing and things like that. And people were frowning because of that. Because it used to be, you do one martial art and you stick with that. Absolutely. You specialize in that, right? But then the Gracie, you guys have heard of the Gracie family? So in jiu-jitsu, it started with in Japan, and then the Gracies. If you ask anyone that's done a little bit of training, they'll know who the Gracies are. But they started Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, so BJJ. That's what you would go train now, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And they went, they did the Gracie Challenge, where they would go to other martial arts places and say your martial art versus my martial art. There's videos on YouTube, old school videos you can watch.
Wait, I want to say I've actually seen the name. I want to say there might be a gym here in Tulsa that's called the Gracie Gym or something like that.
Yeah,
I've
Gracie
seen.
Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah.
And so of course all these karate guys, Kenpo guys, Taekwondo guys, they're like, there's no way, you guys gonna beat me with your ground stuff that you got. And there's videos, crowds everywhere, like a fight club of these practitioners thinking that they could handle it. And no, jiu-jitsu is just prominent when it comes to martial arts. It's good for one-on-one. And boxing, kickboxing is better for more than one person if you're fighting more than one person. So learn all of it, is what I say. Yeah.
Have you ever done boxing, kickboxing, or anything like that? Or
No, dude, I'm like him. I wasn't very athletic, so I got into cars.
Yeah.
You have.
That was
You
my
haven't done
thing.
any
Probably
of that?
saves you some money too
Like,
if you did
I
jiu-jitsu.
don't know
anything?
about that.
No.
I did Taekwondo for 3 years as a
Yeah,
kid.
did.
And no disrespect to any of those martial arts, because you can have a base of Taekwondo and then making sure that you're adding mixed martial arts to it and making it your own style, right? You have a Taekwondo background, you're going to have a certain stance. You're going to have a certain style. You're going to throw more kicks than punches, right? But that's what's beautiful about mixed martial arts, is that you make it your own, right? Whatever background you have, learn a little bit of everything, make it your own style. And that's what's cool. I created a mixed martial arts curriculum. So it's the first curriculum that I know of, and I've done some research. I can't find any, but mixed martial arts curriculum. It consists of boxing, kickboxing, judo, jiu-jitsu, and wrestling. And that's what we work with the kids. I created 7 bands, so from white to black, and these kids earn stripes on their bands, and then every 6 months they're eligible to get the next band. So it takes about 4.5 years to get a black band under me. But at that point, you're going to be proficient in boxing, kickboxing, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, and know how to throw somebody, right? So that's what I created, because there is no mixed martial arts curriculum, and I wanted to create something that was a mix. So
That's awesome.
I was going to pull up your website.
yeah. We have
Just to learn a little bit more.
Yeah, we.
Is it just you in the organization?
Well, I'm the executive director, but I have like my program director. But yeah, as far as it's just
Like they're actually like constantly involved in the organization,
Yeah, yeah.
volunteered or whatever. Or
Yeah, I have some volunteers. They're not, they're volunteers, so they come when they can. I do have an employee. He's a martial artist. He's a young 23-year-old, and he's consistent. He's got his own schools and stuff that he goes to for me. So, but yeah, Carl, he's my program director. He was my wrestling coach in my mixed martial arts career. So he was in my corner throughout, all my fights and all that. He's just great with kids as well. So he typically shadows me when I go to the places to help me out with whatever. So, and then my sister, she works about a third of her full time with me, because she also works for the political consultant that I told you about. So he snatched her up and hired her. So
Man, it's funny. I'm hearing this, and I hear, you're the visionary behind this idea, right? And you're constantly going, constantly moving. And then you mentioned about Erica, right? Hiring, and man, something about, and here, another example, right? You got a brother working for a brother, man, having your family work for a brother, having your family work for you, it's hard, man. It is really hard, but there's something beautiful about it. Like, you can trust those people with your life.
Right.
And you know that when it comes down to it, dude, you don't have to sugarcoat anything. Like, I got to go take care of my family, and that's the way it is. And I'm going to go, and they get it, because that's their family too,
Yes.
right? And it's beautiful to see that. And man, not only that, it's just, it's so hard to do everything. You mentioned, and that's probably like the going trend here on our podcast, is just getting people to understand how much really goes into running a business. It's like,
Right.
everybody thinks it's awesome until you're in it, right? And then you're in it and you're like, well, I mean, it is awesome, but it also sucks. Like, I got so many things to do. And you just mentioned, the fundraising being the most difficult part. And he asked, "Oh, how do you solve that? You know, how do you, and you really think about it? It's like, well, that's a general, just a business problem, right? How do I grow?
Right.
How do I grow correctly, right? And you see that, and it's like people think nonprofit, and like you said, no. Typically, people think, oh, you just got all this money coming from nowhere. It's like, no, somebody has to raise that money,
Yep.
and not only that, as your business grows, so does your expenses.
Yes.
You know, sure, it was fine whenever you only had to shuffle around 3 kids a
Right.
week, right? That wasn't that bad. And even then you could do it in a small sedan, good on gas, all this and that. Now you've upgraded to a third car, you know, third row seat, you're less gas mileage, the car payment, this and that, insurance is higher. And now you're not shuffling around just 3 kids. You're talking 9 seats in there. You're probably stuffing those seats, you know, and it's like it starts to add up, and it's like there's more and more and more. So there's always that level. It's like, oh yeah, I might have raised X amount. Like we've all felt that, right? On top of the mountain, I raised X amount. But running a business, you just realize real quick, like, man, that mountain, there's a much bigger mountain I got to climb now.
Yeah.
So time to get up that next one.
Yeah.
And it's really just, it just goes to show, like, you can make it. And essentially, eventually, you're being what we kind of have here, where you have that community of like-minded individuals, right? That men, women, whoever, that have a common goal, right? Like we want to take care of our families, want to build these businesses, take care of our people, and you're building that for these kids that, frankly, don't know where else to look. You know, they're going to these places, and you're building this community around, sure, mixed martial arts, right? But in the grand scheme of things, like you're building this community around a feeling of like, hey, you want to help somebody that wants help.
Yeah.
They just don't know how to get it. And this is probably, and I don't know, but I think it's a culture thing. It just seems in my family. But I'm always the kind of guy like, nah, you prove to me that you want it, and then you can get it.
Absolutely.
Right? Where in this, you know, you
don't get it, then show me.
Right. You don't get it.
Yeah,
And then,
right.
yeah, right. No, like, yeah, you prove it. Like, and you have that example, right? Where you show these kids, like, you want help. That's fine. Everybody wants help. I need you to show me you want help. You got to show up. You got to be consistent.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get invited to that community, right? Where you're really, it's like, oh, wow, it paid off. It's that first glimpse of you have a group of people that understand each other. That's all it
Yep.
is. We understand each other. It might be fundraising. It might be employees. It might be whatever. But in the grand scheme, you have somebody who understands each other, and you're building a community for these kids that really, they said, they don't know where to look. You know, they may have the opportunity, but they just don't know. And someone out there has beautifully connected you with them, and now you get to take that, and that's just awesome, man. And I love that you have found someone to allow you to chase after your dream.
Yeah.
And you said, you know, you've only been able to grow that much because of the focus, and that's another thing that we've seen here. Like we've talked to other business owners, we've been here where. And same thing with people like with our business. Like, how'd you guys grow so fast? I'm like, I didn't have a job. Like, I didn't have a plan B.
Right.
Like, my plan A was it has to work, and it's still plan A. I mean, it might be like revision 29, but we're still plan A. There's no other ways around it. And it's like to have someone in your position is such a hard business model to start. The hardest part is making the money.
Yeah.
Right. And if you're not selling a service, how in the world are you making money?
And I'm not the biggest fan of doing it. I'm not. I don't like. I was independent when I was younger. I don't like to ask for things. But
Wow. Have you heard of the power of ask?
yes, I have. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
And
It's
If you don't ask, the answer is always no.
Right,
You know, all those
absolutely.
things like that.
Well, whenever I was an amateur mixed martial artist, and I'm trying to pass it on to the amateurs now, is I would go out and get sponsors immediately, all the time, right? And so I just haven't done it in so long, so I kind of got a
get
different
comfortable,
feeling.
man.
Absolutely. So now I'm having to go ask these radio personalities or people on the news that I have connected with, and people, I'm sure people ask them for things all the time. So it's very unnatural for me to do that. But I keep thinking it's for the kids.
Yeah.
It's not for me.
Yeah.
None of it's for me. It's all for the kids. And once I show them, we have a video that we created, and stuff like that, and brochures and all that. So once I really get into the details of what we're doing, they love it.
Yeah.
And I always invite them to a class, because you do not get that true feeling up until you come to a class.
Right.
Once you come to a class and you see these boys working together and the way they train and the intensity and then the music going and all that, I mean, there's no better feeling. Even if you're not part of it, there's no better feeling than seeing these kids, knowing that 50% of these kids in this neighborhood that we work with don't graduate. 50%. I mean, that's insane.
Mm-hmm.
That's they don't graduate high school. and it's a mostly Hispanic community. And all these kids, 20 of them, they come walking. You see, I'll wait outside of the gym, and they're all walking from their houses to come train together because they want to. Otherwise, it costs $150 to $250 a month per person to train.
On top of all the tools you need to do
Absolutely.
it, right? The guards,
The gi,
all the gear, all of it. And that's on top of that, that's another,
And that's why we want to, again, we know equipment is expensive, so we want to provide every single thing that they need for it. And it's been, again, the community's been awesome.
That's
Where do you imagine the organization to be at its 10-year mark?
I imagine at least...
What you're like, you think about it gets you all warm and fuzzy.
Yes.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
you're talking the next 3 years. It's really perfecting Oklahoma City and then being in Tulsa and perfecting Tulsa. Oklahoma has been very good to me, although Chicago's like our home and all that. But I understand why my parents moved me here, right? Oklahoma City and Tulsa both have been amazing to me. So I want to give back by doing that, by bringing the programs into the schools. I imagine the kids seeing other kids with the bands that I'm doing, and they don't know the kid, but they know that they went through the program.
The bracelets,
they know what
the
that means.
rubber
Yeah.
bracelet bands? Yeah.
No, they're not rubber. They're actually they look like a martial arts belt.
Oh,
Oh,
cool.
okay,
Yeah, so
cool.
like ties right here, and it's like with gold, and I mean it's really nice. I have one in the car. I'll show you. But that's what I envision is these kids feeling confident, right? Because they have this feeling like it's a reminder when there's things that life is kicking you down. Then you have your coaches, not just parents, not just teachers. You have your coaches to ask and look up to. That's how Coach Carl, the one that's my program director now, that's how he was to me. He was kind of like a father figure. He was kind of like a guy that if I needed something, he was there for me. You know what I mean? So coaches, a lot of coaches are the father figures for or mother figures for the students. You see it happening all the time, right? And I wish I had that when I was younger. So I'm just providing something that I wish I had. I wish I would have started at 13, 12 years old doing martial arts. I started at 18, 19, right? So I tell these kids, they think that that I've done all kinds of great things in mixed martial arts, and I'm like, that's nothing. You guys started 7, 8 years before me. Imagine where you can be. You're athletic. I wasn't, right? So I keep trying to just instill into these kids that you think that I did something. If you want to do it, you can do a lot more.
Oh yeah.
That'll compound. You
Yes.
get started at 8, 9, 10, right? Yeah.
Yes. So it's I always tell them I don't recommend any of y'all doing the fight business because it is very, very tough. The training up to the fight's easy. Training up to the fight is the hardest part. The mind fucking of the opponent being your brain all the time. You're eating, sleeping this opponent. I mean, really, you have someone training hard to take you out. Right? So the nerves and the anxiety that you get, right? It's like this. You feel good, and then you have a bad session. You're like, damn, am I even ready for this? Right? And I have young fighters call me all the time. Hey, coach, I don't know. I'm feeling doubtful right now. And I just have to remind them, this is part of the process. Your body is doing what it has to do, which is keep you out of danger. And your brain will tell you when you're in danger and try to talk you out of it.
I feel that in business, and I know you do too.
Yeah.
Those
Oh, yeah.
highs, those lows,
Oh, yeah.
lefts and rights, curveballs,
And I tell
you
the
gotta
kids,
stay focused.
100%. And all this translates over to life, right? There's nothing worse than, in my opinion, there's not much anxiety that's as bad as before a fight, especially the night of, or the day before. You're like, it's coming tomorrow. You can't sleep, but you have to sleep.
Presentation,
You have to
those
sleep,
sales
yeah.
pitches, I got to make payroll tomorrow. Oh, shit,
Right.
how am I going to do that?
Yes.
I got to make cold calls in the morning. I got to go knock on doors. I got to go chase for payments. Oh man, I didn't make payroll today. How am I going to
Yeah.
do that on Monday?
Yeah.
It's over the weekend. Oh man, yeah. Oh yeah.
Absolutely. And I tell the kids, and that's a great example. But if you do those things, right, if you do all your cold calls and all your check balances and, cross your T's, dot your I's, then it's inevitable
Eventually.
that you succeed.
Yep.
It's inevitable. I tell them, I'm like, if you work hard, you can't lie to yourself, right? If you haven't put the work in, and you always use fight analogy, if you haven't put the work in the fight camp, when the night comes that you got to fight, your brain is not going to tell you, oh, you trained hard enough.
It's time to fight.
Absolutely.
It's gonna be like,
No matter how hard you trained, that your voice, that little doubtful voice, will always have that little doubt. Did you train hard enough?
And it'll take you out
Absolutely.
every time.
Yes. If you don't know how to control it, then it will take you out. I mean, there's some of the greats in MMA, they're throwing up beforehand, they're passing out or whatever that looks like because of the nerves and the anxiety is so bad. But then you get past that and you go out there and perform, you get your hand raised and it was all worth it. Right, so
I got a question. How important to you is mental training versus just the physical training? Because I want to say this too. I got a degree in sports psychology.
Love it.
Right. And people would ask me, like, especially when I was first starting to do it, now it's kind of more of a thing than that people know about actually. But, when I was first starting to get that degree, people were like, first of all, Washburn, where I went and graduated from, they didn't even have the degree. I had to like kind of do a little bit of psychology and make it up with some classes that were more towards like the sports side of things, and then that made up the degree. So I almost like made it up there. But
so different pieces basically.
Yeah, put the pieces together to make
That's
it.
awesome.
But to you, what are like? Do you offer that, and how important is that to you?
Yeah, I think it's the most important. Absolutely. Anyone can go and train hard, right? But when it gets really tough, it comes to the mental part. And if you don't have the mental part in anything, right? In fighting, obviously, you got to have the mental part to be tough and get through. If the fight's not going your way, you got to come out second round and make it your way. You know what I mean? So the mental part is huge in anything, because if you're mentally weak, then you're prone to just get in fetal position and quit. And I tell these kids that, I go, the kicking, the punching, everything I'm teaching you, all these techniques, that's all great. But one thing that I want you to take from this is the mental growth, the mental capacity that you can have, right? Being grateful. We always ask the kids one by one after breaks, during your break, what was one thing that made you smile, or you made someone else smile, or you're grateful for? Because we always count our downfalls. We never count our blessings, right? When something bad happens, you're just like, you're mad, and
This isn't working out. That's not my favor. This is going to go to shit too. And why am I even here?
Right.
Yeah.
Poor me. I hate that poor me mentality.
Yeah, right.
I hate it.
Well, I mean, it's for some people, it's very easy to get into that. And I'm sure we all still do to some degree, right? Like, I mean, you can't tell me if you lose every single time.
Right.
You put your heart and soul into it, that some little part of you does not wonder.
Yes, 100%.
Sad or down or, but you learn to try to train your brain to go, this is okay. I'm going to have lows and I'm going to have highs. I'm going to work through this, and the high is right around the corner. There was a video I watched the other day, and this guy was asked, he's like, are you happy? And he's like, no, I'm not always happy. No, and that's not what life is about. And I live for the happy moments, and I look forward to those.
Yes.
And when I'm down, it's okay. Yeah, I'll have another happy moment again, and I'll always strive for that. But it'll come back.
It's not as special, right? It's not as special.
If you're happy all the time,
right?
Yeah,
it's not as special. So
it's like if you had a birthday every day.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you're a kid and you're listening,
it becomes the norm, and it's just no, you're right. You have to have both sides.
That's funny you said that. I always say that with flowers with my wife. I'm always like, well, I only have them so I don't ever do them on like the days they're expected. So like Valentine's Day, stuff like that. I don't ever get her flowers.
So she's always mad.
Speaking of which, Valentine's is right around the corner.
I will randomly, I'll get her something, but she's not getting like a bouquet of flowers, nothing like that. And I'll just randomly surprise her with flowers. And she's always like, why don't you get them for me? Like during these days, like, because those days are expected.
Right.
Those days are not as special. Everybody else gets flowers those days.
I like that.
And she's like, oh, okay. I'm like, those days are not my day. My day is your birthday. My day is our anniversary. So our kids' birthdays, everything is. But we grew up Jehovah's Witness, so it's a lot easier for me to be like, all those dates are irrelevant to me.
Right.
Like, I could care less. As far as I know, that's really cost savings.
My opinion, my wife's going to get flowers 2 to 3 times a year.
Okay.
Guaranteed for Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, and anniversary.
Okay.
If it's a birthday or some other special occasion, that's different. But a few times a year, guaranteed to get flowers.
What about your girlfriend, wife?
Wife. Yeah, I like.
He's got twins.
I'm thinking about
Oh, you
changing
got
up
twins.
after you just said that
He's
because
a new daddy to twins.
Yeah.
2 months.
Wow.
Lots of good changes.
Girl, boy,
both.
One of each.
one of each.
Yeah.
Man,
I know, what a
One of
win,
you-
huh?
He doesn't know he won that so
Yeah.
hard. Yeah.
You are living the dream of what most
Yeah.
people would want. Knock it out one time, get a
Yeah.
boy and a girl.
She's like, no, we're done. I'm kind of like, maybe one more.
That'll
I don't-
change.
I don't
Maybe
know,
two
like,
more.
Let's roll the dice for two more.
yeah. It's like maybe three more.
The first 3 weeks is like after like that 2 to 3 week point of just like changing diapers, make sure they're fed, all that stuff. I was feeling pretty good about it. So I was handling it, but
Lack of
she's
sleep.
handling all that now, just about. But yeah, she's at a strong like nah.
Yeah.
But I think like 1 to 2 years, and I keep hearing other people say like 1 to 2 years she might.
Well, it's
but
hard,
even
man.
if not, like you say, like one and done. We got both. So
Well, it's
we're
hard
good.
with one. So I
Right.
just, man,
Yeah.
my coach, I was telling you about Carl, he has twins. So both badass both badass wrestlers. I say little because I knew them when they were little, but now they're bigger than me. So badass wrestlers. Their team in Edmond is ranked number 2 in the nation.
Oh, wow.
I mean, just a badass wrestling team, which most schools, high schools are like private and things like that are actually nationally ranked. So that's really awesome. I mean, if you he did it right, where the kids, they get along, and you have your bickering and things like that,
Yeah.
but it's a beautiful experience to have.
I'm excited.
From what I hear. So yeah,
I mean, they're 2 months now. It's been
Wow.
good. Like I said, she's at home with them now every day. So I think the hardest part right now is just me having to go to work. I talked to Abel about this a little bit. It's like just that transition of like, I got to go work. She'll
You have
text
to
me out
stay
again
with the
while I'm
kids.
at work.
It's hard,
like
man.
it's hard for me to get text from her or like get on calls to learn. She's like
And be supportive.
kind of drowning sometimes.
is.
I'm like,
Yeah,
I just
yeah,
want to be
yeah.
home helping, but
and it's like for you too. You're at work, so you're not dealing with that. So you can't wait to get home to see them.
Right.
It's like the new toy.
Right.
When you're young, it's like my baby's at home. I can't wait to go play with her, and and then she's over there like changing diapers
Yeah.
all day. It's tough, I'm
Different.
sure.
It's
Yeah.
different. And that's literally what I told him whenever he first found out they were pregnant. I was like, man, it's different. It at least I found out because I had 3 kids within 5 years.
Oh, wow.
4 years really. Like
Stay busy.
yeah, right. And I realized like you said, right now it's difficult, especially for a new family. Like man, that's just a shift. It's just a shift all around. And both mentally and physically, emotionally, like we've seen it, with our spouses where there's a change. There's a clear physical change in their brains and everything, right? But then we don't even realize, like even in ourselves, right? We talked about just a second ago, like that life kicks you down and you just get up and you just keep doing it again. It's like, well, as you start having kids, it gets a lot easier to just like, well, I'm doing it for the kids. I just got to show up. I got to like, and having that spouse. And right now there's that settling in portion, right? And I remember whenever we first had our first kids, it's just hard. You're trying to understand what it is to be a parent and all that good stuff. And now, like, I literally went home for lunch and saw my wife and kids, as I do most every day for lunch. And I just, hey, what's up? Love you, this and that. And as I'm leaving, I realized, like, I just told my wife I'm going to probably come home, pass out, because I have to leave again at 3 o'clock in the morning to go to work. And then I'll be back to go to sleep again because I'm probably have to go to work again Saturday night. I was like, and I didn't even tell her that thank you for the house being clean. I'm like, and that's just in my head as a man right now.
You should
right. And I texted her. I told her. I did. I texted her immediately. I said, hey, I'm so sorry. I forgot to tell you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
The carpets are vacuumed. The house is clean. The laundry's like, thank you. But I say that because it wasn't like that when the first baby came along. When we were all scrambling. It was like I'm at work trying to get work done and focus here, but at the same time trying to emotionally help her at home. And it's like he said, you're dealing with different worlds. Essentially, you're in your own little world. Where now my oldest daughter, she's 5, and we're kind of settling into our home life, and my youngest daughter is 2 now. And it's like now, it sucks, but you understand that like I am living my own world, my own life, and so is my wife. But we correlate and we do things for each other, and we're holding each end of the home front because, bro, just as much as you don't want to be at work, out here earning the bread, she doesn't want you out there either. But somebody has to,
Right,
and it's
right.
that sacrifice. And as you grow as a parent, as a father, as a spouse, you start to be like, you know what, I get it. And some days you're going to come home and pass out. And some days I'm going to come home and you're going to go lock yourself in the bathroom and I'm dealing with screaming kids and that's okay. And some days you need to disappear for and it's okay. But when you're young parents, like brand new parents, 2 months in, dude, it's hard. You're just like, I want to do it all.
Trying to find that ebb and flow.
Right. You're trying to figure out your rhythm.
Harmony.
And it's so hard because the reality is, man, and I know we've all experienced it, but like, the rhythm constantly changes.
Yeah.
The best thing is they just start talking and telling you what they want.
Have you ever heard that you never want to be in balance? Because balance means that it's even, it's steady, and it doesn't move.
Right.
Balance could be this. Balance could be that. It could be 25-75, 75-25, or 50-50. But what you want is harmony.
Right.
Harmony has ups and downs in a wave, and there's peaks and valleys to where you can control how high or how low, to some degree, how high or low those peaks and valleys are. You know what I mean? You can kind of create this wavelength of your own, kind of harmonize like between work and family. I know you've got something to say too. Do you want to talk about getting a swift kick in the ass and us talking about that a little bit, and then let him chime in on how people can contribute before we get close to closing?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
You want,
I was just gonna say, like, with the whole harmony inside the home, you know, kind of like the ebb and flow that we're trying to figure out right now. I think I've had kind of a better outlook on that, and being able to handle that, because I'm one of 5, she's one of 2. I've also been able to see you do it.
You're what?
I'm one of 5 kids. We're one of 5.
so you're just more
One of 5.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. I've also been able to see you do it, and watching you do it right now with Leia, right?
Which she's sleeping. High five.
Napping.
So like, I feel like I've, you know, like I said, like that 2 to 3 week point, I was like, man, I could have one more maybe, because I just felt like so good with taking care of him. I feel like I was doing a pretty good job of it, and then like, and she was doing great too. But like, I just felt like I was more adept to it, I guess, you know. But and then also other thing I'll say real quick, just backtracking on the flower thing. I'll do flowers like I'll try. I haven't been consistent with it, but I try to do it like every month on the 20. Hang on. Get this right. 29th.
Yeah.
There it is.
She's listening.
Because May 29th is our wedding anniversary. So I'm like, if I can get her flowers every month around or on the 29th, then by the time wedding anniversary comes around, there's kind of that consistency to it.
Oh, that's cool.
But I like the idea of like the...
But I say that, and I mean, you guys know me.
Surprising.
Like, I don't like social media. I don't do the holidays. I literally text
You're doing so good at social media, though.
This year so far. but literally, I think I told you what was like before the Christmas party, like, hey, you want to hang out on my birthday? And I was like, hey, I'm gonna just be straight. I'm never gonna tell you happy birthday. I'm never gonna tell you Merry Christmas. Like, none of that BS, because I just don't care. But there will be things that are special, right? And that's like the thing with my wife. Like, dude, it's everybody else's day. Like, I don't want to share with you. Like, I don't want to share that day with everybody else. I'm sorry. You're special to me. And again, I think a lot of that comes down to the way I was raised, Jehovah's Witness. You know, I wasn't allowed. I didn't get Christmas presents, but I got like a present in like November or January. I went shopping or did something, right? But it wasn't a Christmas thing. And it's like the thing goes back to my wife is like, hey, my special days for you, it's nothing personal. Like, I still get you a card. Like, I'm not going to let you feel left out. But the real special days are our days, like where nobody else even realizes it's special. And that's just kind of makes that thing. Yeah. But anyways, swift kick in the ass. You're talking about last year?
Oh, well, we just talked about it 2 days ago. Remember?
Man, no, 2 days ago.
You were like, why am I kicking things into gear now? And I was like, because you got a swift kick in the ass.
You got a swift kick in the ass.
Your conversation with your wife.
Yes.
Well,
yes.
was it even? I don't even know if it was a real conversation.
No, it was a
more
conversation.
Just like some notices, some subtle notices over time.
So,
and I'm like, something needs to change.
Yeah, I will say that, because actually that's good. You know, we're all men here with kids and wives and stuff. I had mentioned to Braden, we're all business owners, and you just mentioned something that we all go through, where you have to have a certain amount of years before you get like whatever, right? Grants, a loan for a house, or whatever.
Right.
Yes, right. Well, I've been dealing with that now, E-Man, for 3 years, trying to buy my wife a house.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Now, we're 3 kids, 2 dogs, wife and kids, in an 800 square foot house. 2 bedroom, 800 square foot.
Wow.
It's a tiny house, bro.
Yeah.
I love it, but we've outgrown the house.
You love the bills, you mean? Like the low bills?
You know, no. I
Not
think
a lot to clean.
No, I think
Yeah,
what I
that's true.
love, honestly, is I love being able to hear my kids no matter where they are.
And how big are your dogs?
One's like 30 pounds, 35 pounds. The other one's like 70 pounds.
Okay.
So they're
Good size.
they're decent
Yeah,
dogs.
good size,
yeah.
yeah.
It's
They
a
take up
full
space,
house.
yeah.
Yeah. But what I'm getting is like I like listening to my kids. My kids are young and they're girls, so I like hearing my princesses I like knowing where they are. It's really all it comes down to. But I understand we need a bigger
That
house.
daddar.
Right. That's what it is. Right.
Yeah.
Right. But nonetheless, the other day, so we've been fighting this battle trying to get a house, and 2023 we lost our dad. Right. 2023 was a bad year in the business, just all around. Which I had said that was going to happen. I mean, you're losing the patriarch of our family. Like, dude, that's going to affect everybody's mindset. Sure enough, it did. It was a bad year in the business, but we learned a lot. And in that, I'm like trying to talk to my wife about these things, and I'm like, hey, we're going to do this. And I saw a video not too long ago that said, you know, how we as men need our cheerleader, right? We need that person who believes in us, typically being our mother or our spouse, our wives. But if that person isn't cheering you on, you will go from basically creating something awesome to basically just like giving up. And it could go basically the nagging wife, right? Once you get a nagging wife, there goes blah, blah, blah. Well, I was listening to my wife, and she had said something, and she wasn't nagging by any means or anything. She was just like, how do you see that happening? Like, it's been punch after punch after punch. I don't see that happening. Like, I could just see it that she had given up, right? She had given up, and I realized right then, I was on the phone with Braden, and I told him, I was like, I realized I gotta kick it up a notch. Because my wife will continue to cheer me on so long as I give her something to cheer me on. But she's given up. I've given her too many times this false hope, this whole idea. So it came time to the swift kick in the ass. I have the cheerleader. And sometimes as men, it's scary to make that jump, or I can't afford the bills. I can't do this. The business isn't set up enough for me to do that, so on and so forth. And it's like, to the point where I have the cheerleader at home, and she's still cheerleading me. I mean, hell, I literally just said I went home. The house is beautiful, clean, everything, right? But we're all human. We all get beat down. Life happens, right? And in that moment was typically you'd see, oh, there's a nagging wife. Oh, there's a nagging wife. And I literally saw my wife is just saying, I need my space. I need my home. I need that. And that's in her way. She wasn't by no means nagging, but she's just saying, there's nothing left for me to cheer for. We're getting comfortable. Something's up. And I was on the phone with Brandon. I was like, that's it. Like, I'm done. I have to start being more accountable in my business. I have to start being more accountable in myself. I have to start, unfortunately, having those really difficult conversations in my business, because my wife deserves that. Like, dude, she's putting up for 3 years in this tiny little house, business up and down, how many vehicles we've given to the business, everything, right? Everything.
The time you put into it.
The time, literally, I've had 3 kids since she was pregnant. 6 months pregnant with our first kid when we started the business. She's been through all of it. And I'm like, that was a swift kick in the ass I needed. No hate towards anybody, but I feel like some not so strong men would have been like, oh, there's my nagging wife. And I saw it as, that's the kick in the ass I needed. Thanks, baby. I'm going to get this shit figured out. And since then, literally since like the first year, I mean, things are moving. And
a different kind of support.
It's a different type of support.
Yeah.
But you need that, because the reality is like, the cheerleader's not going to cheer for you if you're not winning. That's just the reality. It's hard for them. The whole crowd will get more into it if you're winning. And it's the reality. It's like, in that moment, I'm doing good. We're doing our business. Everything's working great. But the reality is at home, talking about that life that we're living separate lives, at home, my wife is like, I haven't had movement. I've been here. I've been supporting. Where is my movement? And I've made movement. I mean, I got her car. I've done things here and there, but the house is too small. You know, there's that move where it's finally time you gotta bust, right? And I just say that because that support comes in different ways, right? Sometimes it is, I always joke around, I tell my wife, oh babe, I don't want to do that. She's like, all right, cool. I'll see you when you get back. Like, oh, thanks.
Right.
But she knows it's for our future, right?
Discipline.
So it's right, it's for our future. So it's like, as men, as with young kids and growing families, it's really hard sometimes to wake up and go do that. But it is sometimes, you know, that spouse, you got to pay attention to what they're saying. Yeah, they're cheering for you. And sometimes their cheering may look like, hey, get off your ass. You're being lazy. You've been slacking. You haven't been holding the people accountable. You need to be holding. And then my wife, that's what I've been hearing lately is, oh, I'm tired of this. I'm this and this and that. And I hear it and I'm like, okay. And then the other day when she said, I don't remember what exactly she said, but I was like, that's what it is. I've been slacking. Because as we're supposed to be leading the family, the man in the family, right? And it's like, I've been slacking, which in turn gives her, I had another friend a long time ago who told me that we are providers, women are creators. So we provide a house, they create a home. We provide groceries, they create meals. We suck at creating things. We just make things. They tell us what to do. I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And ever since then, it's a matter of, so for instance, like my wife right now, she's ran out of ingredients. She needs more. She needs more space to be able to. I mean, she homeschools my kids.
Oh, wow.
She cooks me breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
She needs a bigger school.
Dude, she needs more space. She needs more home. And like I said, in that moment, a lesser man, I feel like could have been like, oh, I'm fucking tired of this.
Right.
In my head, I was like, all right, baby, this year I'm gonna make it happen.
And
I'm
that
gonna
goes into a lot of the mental and emotional maturity that has taken years.
No
to
ego,
create. And,
right?
and ego checks
Yeah.
at the doors.
Yeah.
You've been ego checked at many doors, I'm sure, and you've been trying to synchronize your mental and emotional health for a long time. And I mean, that's what's awesome about the come up, right? Is being able to work with those kids from as young as possible to help them with not just, hey, here's where you can beat some kids' ass at school. Like, no, that's not what it's for. So don't think it think it the wrong way. But it's where if you need to have those skill sets, you can apply them. But more importantly, creating that mental and emotional stability that a lot of these kids need that they don't have in their home lives.
Oh, yeah.
And as you instill those values, and a lot, even a lot of people in our world don't have that. And I don't care if you're 70 or 7.
Right.
I don't care how old you are, it doesn't matter. I don't care how many experiences you have either, unless you are able to show that from those experiences, you have been able to create, conform, whatever, some mental and emotional maturity and health and strength. Like there's strength and power in that, not just in your muscles.
Right. Yeah. And
that's a lot of responsibility on you.
Well,
like, I mean, you're not necessarily there just to raise the kids.
Yeah.
But it's sad that you almost have to, that like somewhat of our society has just gotten to a point to where now we have to rely on our teachers, and hopefully not our police officers, but even then they make some communal contributions at times when possible, or nonprofit organizations to like help rebuild somewhat of our, behind the scenes community, our youth,
No, we need the mental stability being taught in these places, because especially nowadays in social media, you guys know this, you have a certain vision of what you should be because of social media, right? And then you start thinking you're not good enough. And martial arts gives you the confidence, in my opinion, gives you the confidence to be whoever you want to be and not worry about the what the society wants you to be, right? And martial arts has, in my opinion, I know that we're not the only solution for the community, but I truly believe that we are one of the best. Like that's a true belief in me, that martial arts is one of the best things, because I simply believe that, and I know this because I live in this community, and some of the most dangerous people I know are some of the best people I know. People that can, whether are Army Rangers or Green Beret or whatever it is, a black belt in jiu-jitsu. All these guys have been humbled their whole lives, right? You don't just go into a martial arts school and be the humbler. You're the nail sometimes. You're not always the hammer, right? And that's in every martial arts. There's always a guy that has your number, right? Whether it's style or size or experience. And every person that I know in this world, of course you have your bad apples, right? In anything. But most of the people are just some of the best people I know, the most giving people I know, the most respectful people I know. And then they have some of the best discipline to be able to teach others. So, the mental part is the most important thing, in my opinion.
So as we come up and close to time, tell me, how can I get involved? How can I get a hold of you? I love what you're doing. We need to support you.
Thank you.
How can our viewers get a hold of you and do that?
Yeah, check out Facebook at the Come Up Inc. I'll make a tag. Check out the Instagram on the Come Up _ Foundation, or check out our website. You can donate on our website straight from there. Check out what we've been doing, all the locations. Check out the media attention we've gotten, things like that. But the comeupkids.com is the best way to go on there and donate. And listen, I always put my number out there, whether it's radio or podcast, whatever. You guys can just give me a call, whether you're a parent that's listening that has a child that wants to, is a good candidate for this program, or you're a person that maybe wants to give back to the community. This is a great way to do it. So the comeupkids.com, or my phone number is 918-607-3449. I always give it out. I'm always getting calls, and it always, I don't care. So yeah.
And that's Emmanuel with the Come Up.
Yes.
Appreciate you.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you guys.